Okay, so let's dive into this stack of sources you shared. They all seem to point towards Lord Hanuman, incredibly powerful, but also known for just profound humility.
That's right. And the material really digs into these extraordinary gifts linked to him, the Ashta Siddhis and the Navanidhis.
Right. So our mission today, let's say, is to unpack what these sources are actually telling us. What are these powers, these treasures? Where do they, come from in his story? And what's the deeper meaning beyond just, well, magic powers?
Yeah, exactly. And Hanuman is like the perfect figure for this. The sources show him as embodying strength, devotion, service. He's the general of the Vanaras, even seen as a Rudra avatar. But it's how he uses that power that's really key here.
And one of the most, fascinating bits from these sources is about where his abilities actually originate. It wasn't just like inherent strength or him trying really hard, though he obviously had both.
Exactly. That specific line the sources highlight from the Hanuman Chalisa, Asta Siddhi Nau Nidhi ke Dada, as Vardin Janaki Mata. It's pivotal. It basically says pretty directly that Mother Sita herself gave him this boon. She saw his incredible devotion, his service, and she granted him the power not just to have these siddhis and nidhis, but to actually bestow them.
Wow, okay. That completely shifts things, doesn't it? So his power isn't just something he holds. It's tied to divine grace, and he can actually empower others through devotion and dharma.
Precisely. It opens up this amazing pathway for devotees, you see.
Okay, so let's start with the Ashta Siddhis then. The 8 divine perfections, often called supernatural powers, right?
They are, but the sources you've got consistently frame them as more than that. Yes, profound mastery, but also, maybe more importantly, profound spiritual virtues.
Right, and Hanuman's actions become these really clear examples. Like, he now had the power to get super small. How did he use it? To sneak into Lanka, find Sita, total spy mission. And the spiritual parallel the sources draw is humility, shrinking the ego to serve something bigger.
Spot on. And then the opposite, Mahima, becoming huge. Think about that giant leap across the ocean.
Oh yeah, the leap.
Or when he faced down demons, growing massive. It's not just about physical size. The spiritual idea is that boundless potential, consciousness expanding when it's dedicated to, the right thing.
The sources mention others too. Garima becoming really heavy, linked to steadfastness.
Yeah, and Likima, lightness, like freedom from attachments. Yeah. Prapti, which is about attaining things you need, resourcefulness.
Okay.
Then prakamya, that sort of irresistible will or determination. Ishita, control over elements, seen as self-mastery. And Vashita, influencing minds, but for good.
And the main point is he always used these for dharma, for Rama's mission.
Always. Now, moving to the Navanidhis, the 9 divine treasures, again, the sources urge us to look past just like material stuff.
Right.
These are divine kinds of wealth, sure, often linked to Lakshmi and guarded by Kubera, but they represent a holistic kind of abundance.
Holistic abundance, I like that. It mixes the tangible and the, intangible, like the lotus, Padma, or Mahapadma.
Yeah, that's a big one. Clearly tied to spiritual enlightenment, rising above the material world.
Yeah. Or
Shankha, the conch. It's not just a horn. It stands for authority, victory, maybe even powerful, truthful communication.
Interesting. And what about Mukunda? That sounds significant.
It is. It's called the giver of liberation. Maybe the ultimate spiritual treasure, right? Freedom from rebirth.
Wow.
And the others fill out the picture. Nanda for family well-being, Makara for protection, Kachapa for patience or inner stability, Nila for wisdom, Karva for inherent strength. It's like a complete state of well-being covering everything.
So, okay, cities, nidhis. How does one actually get these or cultivate these states? Sources mention things like yoga, intense practices, gurus.
They do. But Hanuman's story really shines a light on bhakti, unwavering devotion. His powers, his ability to bestow these treasures, they flowed directly from that selfless service to Rama.
But there's a warning label too, right? The sources bring in this ethical caution, maybe from traditions like the Yoga Sutra.
Absolutely critical point. These cities can be a huge trap, a distraction. They can puff up the ego, make you attached to the power itself, and pull you right off the main spiritual path. Some sources even warn against this peacock consciousness, showing off powers just for show.
That makes sense. So the real goal isn't just collecting cool abilities. It's something more like Param Siddhi, supreme perfection.
Exactly. And in Hanuman's context, in bhakti, that perfection isn't defined by powers at all. It's defined by selfless, loving service to the divine and to others.
So wrapping this deep dive up, Hanuman really stands out as this example of immense power combined with just total humility and focused devotion.
Precisely. He embodies that fusion.
And the siddhis and nidhis, when you look at them through his story, become less about literal magic or gold and more about growing inner virtues, aligning what we do with a real purpose.
And understanding that real abundance, true wealth, includes everything: inner peace, outward contribution, the whole package.
So a final thought then, maybe for you listening.
Yeah.
If these incredible powers and treasures are, in the end, reflections of inner states we can cultivate through things like devotion, like selfless service, what could that mean about the potential that's maybe lying dormant inside us?
Right. And how might that change how we, personally, define strength or wealth in our own lives? Something to really chew on from these sources.